I'm Jeff with Leafy Tucson. Today we are taking a look at the new BROOKS CALDERA 6. Living in Tucson, I am blessed to be able to run a lot of unique trails. With mountains all around me, there is no shortage of places that I can go to get away from the city, throw on my trail shoes, and enjoy the openness and scenery that I can only get from trail running. After running strictly on the road for quite a while, I switched mostly to trail running several years ago, and my first pair of trail shoes were Brooks. I had no idea what I was doing at the time. I picked up a pair that were on sale and too small, and going downhill was not a pleasant experience as my toes kept hitting the end of the shoe. But those shoes got me through many hard runs and helped me fall in love with trail running. So I was excited when I saw pictures of the new BROOKS CALDERA 6. It was so different than previous versions, and in a good way. And after putting it on and seeing it in person, that excitement still remains. If you are not a trail runner or familiar with trail shoes, there are a couple of key differences between road and trail shoes. One difference is the upper. On road shoes, uppers are generally made of an engineered mesh or knit material. They are not as structured as trail uppers, just given the conditions of the road versus the trail. Trail shoe uppers are still an engineered mesh, but typically more reinforced, have sturdier synthetic materials, include toe guards, and have a water-resistant tighter weave than most road shoes. Another difference is the outsole. The outsole is where the rubber meets the road, or in the case of the CALDERA 6, dirt, rocks, and trail. It's the bottom of the shoe, and it's what grips both the road and the trail. The outsole on a road shoe differs from trail since you don't and shouldn't traverse technical, hilly, and rocky trails while wearing road shoes. Trail shoes have lugs for better grip and traction, whereas the outsole on road shoes is more smooth. Many trail shoes also have a rock plate in the midsole for increased protection from the terrain. So now that you know a little bit about the difference between road and trail shoes, let's get back to the CALDERA 6. Comparing it to last year's model is hard to do since Brooks has completely redesigned the shoe. While it's still a maxed cushion trail shoe like its predecessor, there are many changes that make the CALDERA 6 almost a completely new shoe. First, let's start with probably the biggest change, and that is the midsole. This year's version sports Brooks DNA Loft V3 cushioning, which is nitrogen infused. According to Brooks, injecting nitrogen into the midsole takes the base characteristics of a foam and amplifies them. This makes the shoe softer, bouncier, responsive, and more durable. For all you shoe nerds out there, the process is called a supercritical fluid foaming process, and it's the same process Brooks used for the Glycerin 20. It is also the same process used to extract caffeine from coffee. If you want to know more, I've linked a couple of articles down below where you can read a little bit about what takes place. The look of the midsole and its cushioning is a bit deceiving, however, as you actually sit inside the shoe a bit since the sidewalls have been raised. This makes your feet more secure and stable while in the shoes. Another change is the drop. While the previous model had a 4mm drop, Brooks added 2mm to this version, making it a 6mm drop. Most people probably won't notice the difference in the drop, as 2mm is roughly the thickness of a nickel. Brooks lists the stack height as 39mm in the heel and 33mm in the forefoot. The result of the midsole update makes the 6 much better than the CALDERA 5, and this alone would be enough of an update to make me want to buy the shoe. Besides the midsole, there are several other changes that make the CALDERA 6 a great high-cushion trail shoe. The outsole has been completely redesigned also, with the main difference being in the lug pattern and structure. The lugs on the 6 are bigger overall than the previous version and contain a combination of both hard and soft terrain lugs. The outsole also includes stopping lugs in the heel for downhill descents and gripping lugs in the forefoot for uphill. They are 4mm thick and definitely appear like to provide better grip and traction than the Caldera 5. Brooks also split the outsole heel, which gives the shoe two independent stabilizers, and is supposed to make the landing smoother, especially on uneven terrain. The rubber is what Brooks calls trail tack, and is perfect for both wet and dry conditions. The base of the shoe is also wider, making it a more stable platform on the trails. Along with the updated midsole and outsole, they also changed the upper, with the biggest difference in the upper material. Where the Caldera 5 had an engineered mesh, the Caldera 6 now sports a sandwich air mesh, which is quicker drying and more breathable. Brooks also has what they call a floating internal midfoot saddle, which helps keep your foot in place inside the shoe. The tongue is also gusseted, so it doesn't slide from side to side. Like the 5, the new version also has a TPU toe cap to help protect your toes against rocks and the terrain of the trails, gaiter attachments to help keep dirt and rocks out of the shoe, and a lace keeper so your shoelaces aren't bouncing around and getting in the way. Given all the updates, including the increased cushion and wider base, this version is slightly heavier than last year's model. The Caldera 6 comes in at 11 ounces for men and 9.8 ounces for women. That's an increase of about a half of an ounce compared to the 5. However, I thought this model actually felt lighter when I first tried it, and all the other reviews I've read state that it's also not really noticeable while running. The price has also changed, with the Caldera 6 being $150, which is $10 more than last year. One thing that you'll want to know is the Caldera is not offered in wide widths, so if you have a really wide foot, you may be out of luck. With max cushion trail shoes becoming so popular in the last several years, Brooks has definitely stepped up their game to match other brands. To me, it's also a great looking shoe, and while that shouldn't be the only reason you purchase a running shoe, it certainly doesn't hurt that it's both aesthetically pleasing and comfortable. Even though it has a lot of cushion, it feels really stable underfoot, which is not the case with many max cushion trail shoes. The Caldera 6 is great for trail running, hiking, and especially for long distances and long days on the trail. The cushioning is softer, the outsole has better traction, and the overall updates have vastly improved the shoe. This is definitely a shoe you should check out, and I put it up there right along with the Hoka Speed Goat and the Ultra Olympus, both incredibly popular high cushion trail shoes. That's just a few reasons why it's on Fleet Feet's list of best trail running shoes in 2022. So if you're looking for a new trail shoe, stop by your local Fleet Feet and check it out. I think it's a shoe you should give serious consideration to. Thank you for checking out our review of the Brooks Caldera 6. Let me know what your experience is in the comments. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.